I found every way to shade and blend with graphite, and I tried them all, so you don't have to. You're welcome. My name is Chris Kempter, and I asked some of my pencil drawing aficionado friends and masters what their favorite way to blend and shade with graphite was, and I'm going to be listing all of those from S to D tier to see which is the best. We will be starting with some more traditional methods that you probably already heard of, and then be getting into some more interesting ones. First up, we have the hatching method. This is probably the most traditional method in this list, and it's basically a series of straight lines that vary depending on how dark the lines are and how close together they are. Just draw a few lines all going in the same direction and put more in the area that you want to appear darker and less in the area that you want to look lighter. This will give you a rough sketch feel. We will be putting this in the A tier category. Tried and true and good for lots of styles. Definitely a really solid choice. Then let's move on to cross-hatching. Start with hatching the straight lines again, and then come back in with a 45-ish degree line and put a second set of marks. This will give you a more blended feel and is another classic technique that most sketch artists use. We will be putting this right next to the hatching because they're basically related, almost cousins, or Alabama cousins, if you really want to say that. Don't think about that too long. Another really solid choice. On to the next one. Then we have the circle method. This technique is done by drawing small circles that vary in value and proximity. Draw them closer together and with more pressure on the pencil to get a darker look and a lighter and further apart in the areas of the highlights. This one isn't a great option in my opinion because it will give your drawings a kind of strange, hectic effect. But if that's what you're going for, then this is definitely your method. I'll be putting this in the B tier category. It's kinda meh. And next we have the contouring method. This method is done by drawing lines in a direction of the shape of your object. If it's round, then you draw lines curved in the direction of your object's shape. This is great for helping to define the mass of a spherical object or things that have a curved shape to them. Again, put more pressure on your pencil in the dark areas and less pressure in the areas that you want to appear lighter. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that every time. That's kind of a through line with this technique, so if you want it to look darker, just put more lines together and scratch really hard, and if you want to appear lighter, just don't do that and do the opposite. Anyway, this is another great technique and we'll be going into our A tier category. Cross contouring. So this is basically just cross hatching, but with a curve to it. Kinda. Put the first set of contour lines in and then come back in at a 45-degree angle and put your cross contour lines in. This is mainly good for spherical objects or clothing or if you want to portray movement in something. Like contouring, this is another great option and we'll also be going into our A tier spot. I feel like we've got a lot in that category already. Next up, we have random lines. I swear I'm not making that up. This is something I find myself doing if I'm coming up with a thumbnail sketch for a painting or just trying to get some of my ideas out of my head and onto paper. Just throw in some random lines and gradually start establishing your shape. This method is basically only good for the concept sketch part of drawing, and we're going to be putting this in our C tier category, so you probably won't be using this method much anyway. Next up, we have side of pencil shading. So I wasn't really sure what to call this technique because this is basically just shading. So I'm calling this the side of the pencil shading because you use the side of the pencil to shade. I know, I'm really good at coming up with names for these things. Just take a freshly sharpened pencil and lay it almost parallel with your paper. Not too close because you don't want to hit the paper with the wood of the pencil, then start shading with the side of your pencil. This is a great method. You don't have to put a ton of pressure on the pencil to get an effect. You are only hitting the highest range of the paper with a graphite, so it will give you a Bob Ross mountain effect.
Mountains are one of the most fantastic things to paint.
But if you change directions on the stroke, you can really get some nice shading. This one is going to be going into the S tier because it's very versatile and it's really good for shading with the side of your pencil. Next up, we have the Stippling method. Stippling method? Stapling method? I really don't know how you're supposed to pronounce this. To be completely honest, I feel like this is kind of a gimmick for artists who are trying to be different or cool. You basically put a bunch of dots on the paper to get your shadows. Yeah, that's it. You just stab your paper a bunch of times to get shading. This is ridiculous. It basically looks like you used your paper for target practice. I'm not really one for gimmicks, so we are going to be putting this in the D tier spot. Next, let's try the blending stump. In my opinion, this is one of the best methods out there for getting a smooth blend, and it's my preferred way to get a smooth shading and shadow. You can get these in a variety of sizes and types at your local art store or offline. I believe it's just a very thin piece of paper rolled together and then cut into a point at the end. You can load these up with graphite dust to put a darker shading into your art, or you can use a new one to blend existing hatching or cross-hatching marks into a smoother gradient. Again, this is my personal favorite and is the best option so far in my opinion. This method is going to be going in the top of our A tier category. Next up, let's try the paintbrush. Yes, I did not misspeak. We're going to be using a paintbrush for blending. This method is one my sister told me about. This is some of her work. She is mainly a graphite artist, and these are some of the drawings I have that she did for me. I showed you these because I wanted you to know she knows what she's doing. This is actually my first time trying this method, so this should get interesting. Get a piece of sandpaper and a pencil. Sand off some graphite dust into a bowl or onto a plate and load up your brush with the dust, and then start shading. Wow. Yeah. I was completely blown away by how good of a technique this was. It gives a very even blend and is very versatile for giving a light shading or a dark shadow. And it blended the hatching marks better than the blending stump. This one is going into the S tier category and might just replace the blending stump as my personal preferred method. Next up, let's try the makeup brush. Now, to be completely honest, this is a mop brush for artists who know what I'm talking about, but a makeup brush is a mop brush. They're the same exact thing. And I would have used a makeup brush, but my wife wouldn't let me steal hers. This is also another recommendation from my sister Danielle. Taking our brush, we again dip it in the graphite dust and start brushing the area you want to shade. This method takes a lot of dust to load up the brush and will give you a very, very subtle shading over a wide area. It will probably become more bold once you use it for a while and load up that brush, but it doesn't do very well for blending sharp lines or details. So this is a great method for blending large areas, but not great for blending sharp details. But it is very easy to erase, that is a good thing. We will be putting this in the B tier category. Now for one of our more interesting ones, a Q-tip. I know, probably something you wouldn't think would be very good at blending graphite. And you'd be right. When I used it with a pencil dust, it did a decent job of shading at first, but the farther from the center it got, the more splotchy and lumpy the shading got. And for blending in the hatching marks, it didn't blend them very well at all until I added some dust into the mix. And then it still didn't blend them completely. So overall, I'll be putting this in the D tier category. Next up, soft cloth. This method is done by taking a soft cloth, a baby washcloth in my instance, and making a ton of dust. Like a lot. And then loading up the cloth with basically all of it. Make sure to really rub it into the cloth, then shade your area. This did moderately good, but the thing to keep in mind with this, however, is whatever is under your paper will show through if you press too hard. And depending on your cloth's thread count, you could rough up the paper a little bit. And it did a decent job of blending the hatch marks, but a downside to this technique is that you get the graphite dust all over your fingers. I'll be putting this in the B tier category. Not amazing, but not terrible either. Next up, we have the good old fingertips. Basically just put some hatching down and rub your fingers over the area and blend them in. This is actually something I've heard artists say not to do. Your fingers are oily and don't mix very well with paper. This method does work okay and sometimes is your only option if you don't have any other tools, but this is a method I would say not to do because of the oily texture that will happen. So this one will be going into the don't do that category. This technique was recommended to me by an amazing artist in my area, Erica Naylor. We competed together in a $10,000 art competition and we actually placed in the same category the first time we did it, and she beat me last year. So definitely go follow her socials and check out her work. Her method is toilet paper. Yeah. This is gonna be a fun one. Again, put some hatch marks in and take the clean toilet paper and blend them in. This actually gave a very even light blend when it was clean, and if you load it up with graphite dust, it gives a very nice dark shadow. You can change the shading value of these depending on what kind of pencil you grind up for the dust. The lighter the pencil grade, the lighter the shading. The darker the pencil grade, the darker the shading. The only downside is that it's a little difficult to erase once you blend it in. Overall, this is a pretty solid choice, and you probably won't have a shortage of supply, unless COVID happens again. Let's give this one a B+. I would put it in the A tier category except for the erasing issue, so it'll be going into the top of the B tier category. And lastly, we have the cotton ball. I repeated our test from the previous examples. It didn't blend out the hatching very well, but it did a pretty good job when I loaded it up with a pencil dust. I used a 4B pencil for the dust, which is a little darker than what I've been using so far. Surprisingly, it erased relatively well without leaving a ton of residual darkening. Overall, this is a pretty solid choice, but if I'm being honest, this is probably not something I'm going to be using on a regular basis. So let's throw this one into the B tier category. Well, that was a really fun experiment, and I want you guys to comment what your favorite shading method is in the comments because I really would like to know, and tell me if I missed one because I really searched a long time to make sure that I got all of them. So if you've got one that you use that I didn't list, definitely put it in the comments. If you're looking for a more comprehensive guide on how to shade and get depth and make your art look 3D, then check this video out. And I'll see you next time. Peace.